Welcome to Ethan's Revenge.
She texted while I was fixing the sink. I'm not coming home. I found someone who actually listens to me. Attached was a screenshot. $97,300 drained from our joint savings. My name is Ryan Cooper, 46 years old. Standing in the kitchen of our Charlotte townhouse at 9:38 p.m. on a Friday night, wrench still in hand. Amy, my wife of 12 years, was supposed to be on a yoga retreat in Sedona. The text hit harder than the cold water spraying from the busted pipe. She didn't call, didn't explain, just emptied the account and disappeared. I set down the wrench, wiped my hands on a rag, and stared at the message. 12 years boiled down to 2 lines and a wire transfer. I should have seen it coming. Weekend workshops that turned into weeks. New outfits arriving in secret packages. Conversations that stopped mid-sentence when I entered the room. I noticed. Of course I noticed. I'm a civil engineer. I notice cracks before walls collapse. But I stayed silent. Maybe that was my real mistake. Or maybe it was marrying someone who thought building a future together meant shopping for herself with my credit cards. I picked up my phone again. Typed 2 words. Good luck. And then I called my brother, Matt. Remember that file we put together after Dad passed? Yeah. It's time. He didn't ask why. Didn't need to. Matt always knew Amy cared more about the finish line than the foundation. As I hung up, I glanced at the anniversary photo still hanging in the hallway. The only one left. The others had been quietly disappearing over the past year, like everything else that mattered. Maybe the worst part wasn't losing the money, or the betrayal. It was realizing she had been packing up my life right under my nose, and I let her. But not anymore. I smiled, just a small, tight curve of my lips, and said out loud to the empty kitchen, "Game on." The next morning, I started moving. First thing, I logged into our joint banking app. Amy thought she'd wiped me out. She didn't realize I had a second savings account under my business name, one she never bothered asking about. Balance, $214,000. Second thing, I froze the joint account she drained. Filed a fraud report. Bank flagged the transfer for questionable activity, buying me precious time. By noon, Amy's new fortune was locked up tighter than a vault. And the best part? She wouldn't know it until she tried to spend it. While I waited, I cleaned up the kitchen. Finished fixing the sink. Because no matter how bad life hits you, the pipes still leak and the world keeps spinning. At 2 p.m., Matt pulled into the driveway in his beat-up Ford pickup. He handed me a manila folder without a word. Inside, printouts, screenshots, transaction histories. Amy hadn't just moved the money. She had also started co-signing loans for a guy named Tyler Nash, a personal trainer who owned a gym 3 towns over. I recognized the name. He was the guy from those blurry Instagram selfies Amy swore were group shots. Only now, she was paying for his new SUV, his gym equipment, even his apartment, all financed with my income. I didn't rage, didn't yell, didn't throw my phone across the room. Instead, I made a pot of coffee, sat down at the kitchen table, and wrote out a plan. Because here's the thing about building things for a living. You know how to dismantle them, too. First step, secure my assets. Second step, expose their mess. Third step, watch it all collapse, quietly, slowly, beautifully. By 4 p.m., Amy texted again. "We need to talk. It's important." No apology, no regret, just urgency. I didn't reply. I didn't even read the rest. Because when someone shows you who they are, you don't schedule a meeting. You start digging graves. By the time Amy realized the money was frozen, it was too late. She called, and called, and called. I let the phone ring every time. Because silence hurts worse than words. At 7 p.m., my brother Matt texted me. "Heads up, Tyler's gym just posted a fundraiser. Looks like they're hurting." I smiled into my coffee cup. See, without my steady paycheck, without access to the accounts Amy thought she controlled, Tyler's little empire was built on quicksand. And the tide was coming in. That night, while Amy frantically tried to fix things, I filed for divorce. Emergency petition. Financial misconduct. Request for asset protection. The clerk stamped it with today's date. August 17th. The day Amy's fairy tale officially ended. Meanwhile, I started pulling strings. My client, Ms. Landry, who owned half the commercial spaces in our town, owed me a favor. I cashed it in. Next morning, Tyler Nash's gym lease got a routine review. Turns out, it violated 4 zoning laws. Oops. By noon, the gym had a bright orange notice of violation taped to the front door. I wasn't petty. I wasn't vindictive. I was just methodical. Because when someone thinks they can steal your life, you don't yell. You tighten the noose and let gravity do the rest. By dinner, Amy sent me a new text. We can work this out. Please call me. No, Amy. You made your choice the minute you moved my life into a storage unit. Now it was my turn. Saturday morning, the first cracks appeared. Matt forwarded me a screenshot from Amy's Instagram. A picture of her in a coffee shop, staring out the window, captioned, "New beginnings aren't always easy." Translation? She was scrambling. I sipped my coffee and got back to work. My lawyer filed emergency motions. Immediate restraining order on joint accounts. Temporary freeze on marital assets. Subpoenas for financial records, including every loan she co-signed. Amy had no idea yet. She was still busy pretending online that she was healing and manifesting her best self. By noon, she tried to call again, this time from a different number. I blocked it without hesitation. Because here's the thing. If someone shows you they can burn you once, they'll do it again. And I was done playing firefighter. At 2 p.m., Matt and I sat in his garage, looking through more documents. "You sure you want to see this?" he asked, handing me a manila envelope. Inside were copies of the bank applications Amy and Tyler filed together. Fake employment history. Forged income statements. My name referenced more than once as guarantor, without my knowledge. Fraud. Plain and simple. I closed the folder carefully. Took a deep breath. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Focus. File everything with my lawyer, I said. Every last page. Matt nodded. No lectures. No pity. Just action. Because when you're standing in the wreckage someone else created, the only thing left to do is start pouring the concrete for your own future. And I was already laying the first bricks. By Monday, the avalanche started. Amy must have realized something was wrong when her debit card got declined at brunch. I pictured her standing there, fake laugh, fumbling excuses, while her wellness friends looked on. At 10:14 a.m., she texted again. "What the hell is happening?" I didn't respond. Instead, I sat in my attorney's office reviewing the next moves. The financial review we requested? It uncovered even more. Amy had opened a new account 2 weeks before she left, under her maiden name. She had been funneling money there slowly for months. Small transfers. Round numbers. Like a kid trying to sneak cookies from a jar. Amateur hour. The bank, now officially aware of fraud, flagged every account she touched for audit. And Tyler? Turns out, his gym wasn't just behind on rent. He also defaulted on 2 business loans, both co-signed by Amy, using my credit score. By noon, the bank started calling in the debts. Emergency letters. Default notices. Demand for immediate payment. I didn't lift a finger. Didn't need to. They were demolishing themselves. At 2 p.m., Matt sent another update. Tyler's Instagram just went private. Guess the entrepreneur life isn't as pretty now. I chuckled quietly. There's a certain kind of satisfaction watching people who thought they were smarter than you learn basic math the hard way. Amy wanted independence. She had it now. No money. No house. No backup plan. Just the consequences she earned. One withdrawal, one lie, one betrayal at a time. And me? I wasn't gloating. Wasn't celebrating. I was just getting started. Tuesday morning, Amy showed up at my office. No warning. No appointment. Just a hurricane wearing designer sunglasses and fake calm. My assistant buzzed me. "Ryan, there's a woman here. Says it's urgent." I already knew who. And I already knew how this would go. "Send her in," I said, leaning back in my chair. Amy stormed through the door before the words finished leaving my mouth. Her yoga outfit was perfect. Her makeup flawless. Her hands shaking. She slammed a folder onto my desk. "You're ruining my life," she hissed. "You froze everything. Tyler's gym is sinking. My cards are locked. What the hell are you doing, Ryan?" I didn't flinch. Didn't raise my voice. Instead, I picked up my coffee, took a sip, and said calmly, "Protecting what's mine." She blinked, stunned. Like it never occurred to her that I wouldn't roll over this time. "You can't do this," she spat. "I'm your wife." "Were," I corrected quietly. "Petitions filed. Effective immediately." She gaped like a fish out of water. I could almost see the gears grinding in her head. "This isn't fair," she finally said, voice trembling. I set my cup down and leaned forward. "Fair? You emptied our savings. You signed for loans using my name without my knowledge. You tried to build a new life off my back. I let the words hang in the air. You don't get to cry fair now. Amy's facade cracked. Her bottom lip trembled. For a second, just a second, I saw the real her under all the fake smiles and Instagram filters. Desperate. Cornered. Small. You'll regret this, she whispered. I stood up, straightened my jacket, and said, maybe, but not today. Then I walked past her, out of my own office, leaving her standing there, tiny, furious, and completely powerless. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud. It's leaving them behind without a second glance. By Thursday, Tyler Nash's world was crumbling too. The county filed official code violations against his gym. Fines stacked up, $250 a day. Utilities cut off. Memberships canceled. Word spread fast in a town like ours. No one wants to lift weights under a notice of eviction sign. Matt sent me a photo. Tyler, dragging equipment out the back door of the gym, sweat-streaked and furious. Karma didn't knock. It kicked the door off the hinges. Meanwhile, Amy's financial house of cards collapsed right behind his. The banks rejected her pleas for extensions. Creditors started filing suits. And me? I sat in my office, sipping coffee, approving every motion my lawyer sent my way. At 3 p.m., Amy texted one last time. Can we meet? Please? Just talk. I stared at the screen. 12 years together, and all it took was a few weeks for the truth to shine through. She hadn't loved me. She loved my stability, my patience, my wallet. I locked my phone without replying. Because some bridges? They're better burned. And left smoldering. That night, Matt and I met at O'Connor's, the little dive bar downtown we used to hit after college exams. He slapped a beer in front of me. To the long game, he said. We clinked glasses. Because that's the thing about revenge most people don't understand. It's not about shouting. It's not about fights in parking lots. It's about endurance. Outlasting. And right now, Amy and Tyler were running out of oxygen, while I was just getting comfortable. Monday morning, we met in court. Amy arrived early, full makeup, expensive dress, trying to look like the wounded party. Tyler trailed behind her, head down, tie crooked. I didn't bother dressing up. Simple suit, clean shave, clear mind. Because when you come to bury a lie, you don't need glitter. You need a shovel. The judge was a tall, gray-haired woman with sharp eyes. The kind that had seen every trick in the book, twice. Amy's lawyer spoke first. He emptied their accounts, she said, voice dripping outrage. He manipulated assets to punish her for moving on. I didn't flinch, because the truth doesn't blink. My attorney stood up and calmly laid out everything. Unauthorized fund transfers, forged loan applications, misrepresentation of marital assets. Every accusation backed by documents, signatures, emails. Amy's face drained of color as the evidence stacked up like bricks around her. When we presented the records from Tyler's gym, showing that she had signed as a guarantor while still married, putting my financial future at risk, even Tyler shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The judge leaned back, steepling her fingers. Mrs. Cooper, she said coldly, can you explain why you signed financial documents tying your husband's credit to a third-party business without his consent? Amy opened her mouth, closed it, looked at her lawyer. Silence. Deadly. The judge nodded once. Emergency asset protections stay in place. Divorce proceedings move forward immediately, pending criminal review for financial misconduct. The gavel dropped with a loud crack. Tyler stood up too fast, knocking his chair over. Amy grabbed his arm, whispering something frantic. But it didn't matter. Not anymore. Their empire of lies had collapsed. And no influencer caption, no fake smile could rebuild it now. Outside the courthouse, Matt clapped me on the back. You good? He asked. I watched Amy shove Tyler away, tears in her eyes, furious at the world. I smiled. Better than ever. By Friday, the collapse was complete. It didn't happen with fireworks. It didn't happen with screaming. It happened the way mountains crumble. Slow at first, then all at once. Tyler's gym officially shut down. I drove by that morning, just to see it with my own eyes. Big red letters taped across the glass door. Closed, property under repossession. Inside, I could see the skeleton of what used to be his empire. Benches overturned. Equipment being loaded onto trucks. Dreams getting packed away, piece by miserable piece. Tyler wasn't there. Of course not. He wasn't the type to stay and watch when the bills came due. Amy's shiny Instagram life fell apart even faster. Her joint accounts? Frozen solid. Her new credit cards? Declined. Her personal account, the one she thought she rescued $97,000 into, locked under active fraud investigation. Worse, the banks reported her financial activity to credit bureaus. In just 3 days, her once pristine credit score dropped by almost 200 points. Creditors started calling. Real estate agents started backing away. Friends she bragged to just a week ago, suddenly too busy to answer her texts. Funny how loyalty disappears when you have no money to buy it. Meanwhile, Tyler scrambled. He tried to sell equipment that didn't belong to him. Tried to negotiate with the landlord who was already preparing a lawsuit. Tried to crowdfund online, begging followers to help save the community gym. Nobody cared, because people love winners. They tolerate dreamers, but they abandon losers. And Tyler Nash was a loser now. At 7 p.m., Matt texted me. Bro, she posted some wild rant on Facebook. Full meltdown. Faced with tears of joy, I opened it out of pure curiosity. Amy's post was a masterclass in victimhood. Life isn't fair. Some people would rather destroy others than heal. But I believe in karma. I believe good people find their peace eventually. No names. No direct accusations. Just vague, desperate attempts to paint herself as the wounded party. I stared at the screen for a minute. Once upon a time, those words would have gutted me. Made me question myself. Wonder what I could have done differently. Now, I smiled. Because I knew better. You can't heal someone who carves open your chest just to watch you bleed. At 9 p.m., I finished packing the last few boxes from the townhouse. Didn't take much. My grandfather's watch. A few photo albums. Some old paperbacks I couldn't bring myself to leave behind. Everything else. The furniture she picked out. The kitchenware she insisted on. The decorations she loved posing in front of for Instagram. Let her have them. Let her keep the hollow things. I didn't need symbols of a life that was already dead. I stepped outside, feeling the cool night air on my face. The neighborhood was quiet. Peaceful. Different from the chaos I'd lived in for years without even realizing it. I tossed the last box into the back of my truck, closed the tailgate, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the guy who lost everything. I felt like the guy who survived, who endured, who watched the fire, and walked away without getting burned. I looked at the empty house once, just once, then turned my back on it. Not with sadness, not with anger, but with freedom. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't taking something from someone. It's taking yourself back. 2 weeks later, the papers were finalized. The judge's ruling came in the mail. Divorce granted. Fraud confirmed. Asset protections upheld. Amy didn't even contest it at the end. She couldn't afford to. Tyler, his gym equipment was seized. His business license revoked for financial misconduct. Last I heard, he skipped town, leaving behind debts, angry landlords, and a few betrayed friends holding empty contracts. Amy stayed. For a while. Rumor had it she tried to move in with a cousin across town. Didn't last. Too many fights, too much baggage. Eventually, she disappeared from social media. No more inspirational quotes. No more new beginnings. Just silence. The sweetest kind. As for me, I didn't buy a new house. Didn't rush to start over with grand declarations. I rented a small cabin by the lake. Old wood floors. Wide windows that opened to quiet forests. No granite countertops. No home decor straight from a magazine. Just air. Space. Freedom. Every morning, I made coffee and sat on the porch, watching the mist roll off the water. No court dates. No screaming matches. No feeling like I had to constantly defend my own life. Just the slow, steady rebuild of something better. Me. Matt visited once a week. Sometimes we just sat and fished, not saying much. Didn't have to. Healing doesn't come with fireworks either. It comes quietly. A breath at a time. A step at a time. A day at a time. One afternoon, while fixing the old dock, Matt asked, "You ever regret it?" I tightened a bolt with a slow, deliberate twist. "No," I said. She made her choices. I made mine too. I chose to survive. I chose to walk away. I chose to build something she could never touch again. Matt grinned. "Good. You deserve better." I looked out over the water, the sun slipping down behind the trees, and nodded. Because he was right. I didn't win by fighting. I won by enduring. By outlasting. By staying true when everything around me tried to rot. Amy thought she broke me. She thought wrong.